Wow, it's fascinating how quickly scenes can change, and you don't realize that days, weeks, months could have passed between two verses. This is what we find when we finish off in verse 11, where we discovered that Joseph's brothers, oh man, they envied him. They hated him with everything they had. And now we're in verse 12. Genesis 37, 12 to 17. Let's read it together, and then I will unpack it. And his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said unto Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, Here am I. And he said to him, Go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. And so he sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, What seekest thou? And he said, I seek my brethren. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, They are departed from here, for I heard them say, Let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren, and found them in Dothan. So his brothers went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. That's how it starts. Shechem was about 100 kilometers away from Hebron. In case you are listening from the United States, that's 60 miles away from Hebron, where Jacob and his family now lived. It was usual to remove flocks from place to place for the sake of finding good pasture, sometimes at great distance. My question is, why Shechem? See, it was true that Jacob had bought a parcel of a field in this place. We see that in Genesis 33:19. But folks, this was the place where Joseph's brothers had brutally slaughtered all the males of the town, and therefore should be fearing the inhabitants of the neighboring cities from rising up against them in retaliation. After they were gone for some time, and you see, there it is. After they were gone for some time, Jacob would have been worried. Not really asking a question, although he did ask a question. Aren't they in Shechem? Aren't they taking care of the sheep in Shechem? It was kind of a reminder, right? Isn't my daughter at school? Just, it's just a question that doesn't even need an answer. So, not really asking a question, he rhetorically asked Joseph as a reminder of their having gone with the flocks to Shechem. He said, Come, and I will send you to them. No question. Jacob wanted Joseph to find his brothers. Considering the length of distance and the danger of the place, the potential danger of the place in which they were feeding their flocks, Jacob would perhaps have sent one. Jacob should have sent one of his trusted servants But who else would be more trustworthy than his beloved Joseph? Do you realize Jacob trusted Joseph more than he trusted anyone else? Now that's saying something. Not only was he his favorite, but he was his most trusted. And perhaps maybe his son's hate would have calmed down by this time, so I will send Joseph. And Joseph answered, "Here am I," showing his readiness to obey his dad and go on this errand alone, though it was a long journey. Now, in the translation from Hebrew, Israel asked Joseph, "Go now, see whether it is well with our brethren and well with the flock, and bring me back word." You know, this makes sense as this wording, "go now," instead of "go, I pray thee." You know, it makes sense as this wording is more agreeable to the authority of a father. Besides, perhaps it had been many days or even months since he had heard anything from them. Notice the emphatic command by Israel. What did he say? Bring me back word. Here it is confirmed that this was something Israel expected from him, to bring him back word. Next, in verse 14, Israel sent him out of the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. So Joseph's journey was successful. Then we read, a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. Who was wandering in the field? Jacob was wandering in the field. Now, this certain man was probably some man at work in the field, maybe even an employee of Jacob, that came upon him and took notice of him. And notice that it says the field where Joseph was wandering. Not a field, the field. It may have been the same field his father Jacob had purchased, and where he expected to have found his brothers going back and forth to search for them. Well, naturally, the man observing him asked, "What are you looking for?" So verses 16 and 17 is where we finish, are straightforward. And he said, "I seek my brothers. Tell me, I pray thee, where they are feeding their flocks." And the man said, "They are departed hence, for I heard them say, Let's go to Dothan." And Jacob followed and went after his brethren, and did indeed find them in Dothan. So they had been there in the field, but now it moved on to Dothan, according to the man. Now Dothan was between 6 and 12 kilometers away. That's 4 to 8 miles from Shechem. And that is exactly where Joseph went after his brothers to find them. Do you know what this shows me? This shows that he had a real desire to see his brothers and know how they were doing, and that he might report this to his father. See, now, his dad asked him to report back to him. So when we read this, we think, whoa, what a snitch. He just wants to tell his father how they're disobeying him, blah, 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 blah. Joseph could have returned on not finding them in Shechem, being the place he was sent to. You know, he would have showed that he obeyed his father's orders. Okay, tell me how they are. Oh no, they're not in Shechem. Uh-oh. But he didn't. He went a step further. And unbelievably, as this sounds, Joseph actually loved his brothers. So clearly, he was misunderstood. Have you ever felt like that? Clearly misunderstood. I remember a few years after I was saved, after I accepted Jesus Christ into my heart. I've been a Christian now for 44 years, since January of 1976. And I remember being so excited and telling people, oh, wow, you should have seen. I said this and I said this. And people actually turned to the Lord. Hallelujah. And you know what? I was so excited about how God was using me that I would talk about it. And then people looked at me and said, why are you bragging? Why are you making everybody feel inferior to you? What are you doing? Are you so filled with pride that you have to talk about your exploits for God? Folks, I was misunderstood. I was not thinking anything like that. I was just sharing. I said, whoa, you know what? You could do this too. No, people didn't hear that part. People just heard that God was using me. Isn't that fantastic? Wow. I was clearly misunderstood. Have you ever been in that position? You know what? You can do what I did. Pray for them who misunderstood you. And then become more wise and learn when to talk and when to just say nothing.